Well, first of all, precaution. Think. The solution is to think about what you're doing, and that can be as simple as when you're using a mobile phone. Actually ask yourself the question: how is this mobile phone achieving what it does? The answer to that is via microwave radiation. You're holding a little microwave oven to your head, so don't do it. Yeah, well, there is one, but the first part of it is to be cautious how you use any wireless technology yourself. If you ask what I do, the only thing I use that's wireless is a mobile phone, quite rarely. I never hold it to my head. If I do, I use a product that blocks the radiation between the phone and my brain. If I've got calls that I have to make that are of any distance at all, or any length at all, sorry, I will use a headset that has a break for the radiation. Normal headsets, for example, for mobile phones, use wires. Wires carry radiation, so all you're doing is taking the radiation from the phone to your brain. Bluetooth headsets use radiation to, so all of those things are not safe. I use a headset that has an air tube between the wires and the brain to break the radiation. So it's common sense, really. That's the only thing I use. I don't use Wi-Fi. My internet broadband connection comes into a wired router, which then I've got 4 wires around the house. That means I've got 4 places I can go and use the computer, and that's all I have. I don't live near a mobile phone mast. The first thing you've got to do when it comes to mobile phone masts is check out your environment. It's crazy to live somewhere. We're living in a time where mobile phone masts aren't given too much thought. There will come a time when you get a survey done for your house. You'll need a survey done to see what the situation is with mobile phone masts, purely from a financial point of view, because people will begin to not want to buy houses near them. At the moment, most of us are living in our homes happily, unaware of whether or not there is one. So the first thing to do is find out if there's a mobile phone mast near you, whether or not you have any symptoms that may be attributable to it, because it can take some time. It may be new. So to do that, you need a detector, or an easy way to do it without costing any money is to go on a website, which is type Site Finder into Google. It'll take you to a website where you put your postcode in, and it'll tell you what mobile phone masts are around. Don't have a cordless phone. And check out your dirty electricity. Dirty electricity, the whole journey for me from discovering the subject of electrosensitivity, if you like, or the effects of being exposed to electromagnetic pollution, started, as we talked a bit earlier about, with my daughters some years ago. And it's been a learning journey for me. I found out about dirty electricity is that I often find out, or have often found out, things that now help me run my business from my clients. And I had a client over in Ireland in 2007 or 8, yeah-ish. And we tried everything we could to she was sick with electrosensitivity, and we tried everything we could, and I try not to do it, but I got quite attached to her. And so I almost became a mission to help her, and I wasn't able to, nothing seemed to be working. And then, as I was actually doing research on her behalf, I discovered dirty electricity. Dirty electricity is another modern byproduct, another byproduct of the way we live. Electricity in itself has always been dangerous, and it has always had an effect, a negative effect on health from the very beginning when we invented it and then started to be exposed to it. But in itself is pretty innocuous, really, until you start to do stuff to it. Dirty electricity, it comes about when you start to put things onto an electrical network that the electrical network wouldn't naturally support, if that's possible. As in computers, you send electricity into a computer and there'll be a chip in it. In fact, there'll be a lot of chips in it, but there'll be something in it that will say to the electricity at some point, oh, hang on a minute, I need to direct you around. So it interrupts the flow. Another good example that causes dirty electricity is low energy light bulbs. Low energy light bulbs, in order to be energy efficient, effectively steal their electricity from the peak of the sine wave in scientific terms. But in other words, again, they say to the electricity smooth signal, stop there, this is what I want to do with you. What all that does is creates another radio frequency that it puts back onto the wires. And there's lots of other things that do it, and Xboxes, we talked about earlier, cordless phones, anything that uses a switch mode power supply, in other words an AC-DC changer, if you like. All of these things have only come about recently. We didn't, even 10 years ago, we didn't all have laptops, we didn't have cordless phones, we didn't have mobile phones charging. All of the modern stuff interrupts the electricity supply and makes it dirty. We've now found that this dirty electricity, what it does is it emits a very weak, hard to measure with normal radio frequency measuring equipment. Now we do have a monitor to measure it. A weak signal that comes into the room, and in layman's terms can make the room like a subtle microwave oven. But if we go back to what we were talking about earlier with the cells using extremely subtle communication signals to run the body to its best, in its optimum performance, if you like, then we think that the dirty electricity damages that. And certainly there has been research in which you can Google. I can't remember the name of the school now. Anyway, there's a school in America that was suffering from sick building syndrome. They did a massive amount of work there with dirty electricity and found that it was that. And it was having the same sort of cancerous results as the beam of maximum intensity has from mobile phone mass. In fact, I've got a client who we produced a monitor that you just plug in it and gives you a figure. And when she plugged the monitor in, it maxed out. You almost never see that. She put dirty electricity filters in and changed some of the equipment that was making that that figure, and she got I think it was arthritis that disappeared instantly, but also she'd had skin cancer that she did quite a bit of research herself, and she was knowledgeable in this field in the first place. She was one of the activists, and it absolutely convinced that her skin cancer was down to this high level of dirty electricity that she suffered. So it's a problem that we don't know enough about, but it needs to be avoided.